So next up, we'd like to share with you an update on our mobile product offering and the progress we've made since our initial announcement back in April. The team has done amazing work, and here to talk more about it are our two mobile leaders, Andrew Eifler and Errol Lido.
Hi, everyone. I'm Errol Lido. I'm the product lead at AppNexus for mobile, and I'm joined up here on stage by Andrew Eifler, my counterpart and the strategy lead for mobile.
Hey, guys.
And today, really just wanted to give you sort of a brief progress update on where we are on mobile. We launched some new mobile features at our San Francisco summit, so we wanted to give a brief update on that. And Andrew's going to talk about some of our thinking on what the mobile market looks like from a seller standpoint and what our thinking is there. So backing up a little bit, we actually began working on mobile over a year ago. We actually really started seriously thinking about mobile in April of 2012. Since then, I think we've come quite a long way. We actually have built a number of buy-side mobile features and launched those features at our beta in April. We are sort of mid-beta right now, learning a tremendous amount and getting lots of great feedback. And we're aiming for a wider commercial release later this summer or early fall. And we'll also be following up with a number of sell-side focused features as well that Andrew is going to speak about later in the presentation. So for those of you who are at our San Francisco summit, really spoke about 4 fundamental differences that we've seen between mobile advertising and traditional desktop display advertising. So here they are. If you understand these 4 differences, then you really get the differences in mobile advertising, we think. So the first difference is really the way that users behave. So users can move around, attention spans are different, they consume content in a different way, play games far more often. So the way that users behave is fundamentally different, we think. The second key difference is the environment in which ads are shown. So obviously, screen sizes are smaller, but there's also a lot more that you can do on devices. Lots of very interesting rich media aspects. You can use accelerometers. You can interact a lot more with the environment. The third aspect is what we term plumbing. And this is really just the mechanical details of how ads are actually get from the advertiser to a publisher actually rendered on a device. So without going into too much details here, there are just some fundamental differences in the way that plumbing works, the way that you would integrate with supply or demand sources. And the last challenge here, and probably the elephant in the room, is that of user identity. So there are some pretty fundamental differences in the way that users are identified between mobile and display, which we'll talk about in a minute. So we also said that if you take a step back and really look at these 4 fundamental differences, 2 of them, so changes in behavior and environment, are actually largely positive changes. These represent entirely new opportunities for advertising, entirely new ways to differentiate businesses. But the differences around plumbing and user identity are really purely frictional. We'd go so far as to say that if you removed these differences in friction, mobile would be radically different tomorrow. It would be monetized at a level similar to traditional display. So we've been taking the first step, been working on this incrementally. We've released a number of new features. They're currently in a closed beta. So we've launched new targeting features that allow you to take advantage of new aspects of user behavior, targeting different attributes of mobile devices, like type of device, very granular make and model, the carrier, the operator, which a user uses. We've also launched a bunch of new reporting features as well. So you can actually report on all of your campaigns in one single unified interface, as well as new reporting dimensions. So you can report granularly on all the dimensions that you can target on, like device make and model, carrier. We've also released a number of different ways for integrating with mobile supply, which we spoke about before. So you can work directly with mobile publishers. So we have new APIs, ad calls, for working with mobile app publishers in particular. New hooks for integrating with mobile ad servers and mediators. And lastly, we've gone out and done a number of Rtb integrations. And as of our April summit, we showed this slide here. So I think we'd integrated with about 1.5 billion these are mobile app and mobile web optimized impressions we're seeing per day. And since then, to share a few stats here, so we've seen a 67% increase in that. We're now at about 2.5 billion mobile impressions a day and growing very, very quickly. We expect this explosive growth to continue. We've seen about over a 250% increase in the amount of mobile ad spend coming through the platform. This is just limited to our mobile beta clients, growing incredibly quickly. And tripling of the number of mobile ads in our system. So very, very explosive growth here. We're pretty excited about what we're seeing in this space. We've also been thinking a lot about the challenges around user identity. And I think we think about user identity a little bit differently from most people. Rather than saying there are no cookies in mobile, sort of a myth, we actually break down the challenges of user identity into 4 key challenges. So every blue arrow that you see here represents a branch in which a user can be identified in more than one way. So I can be identified in more than one way across my laptop and my phone, across multiple apps on the same device, across apps and browsers on the same device, and in particular, third-party cookies on mobile Safari are an issue. So we think those are the 4 key challenges around user identity. And many problems extend from these, tracking, attribution, targeting, all extend from these challenges around user identity. And we're focused on solving these one by one. So the first challenge we've really been focused on is solving the challenge around identifying users between multiple apps on the same device. And we think we've largely solved this problem. We see very, very good accuracy on ability to track and frequency cap across apps. We're pretty happy with our progress here. And now we're starting to switch our focus, and we're really focusing on identifying users across apps and browsers, as well as the challenges around third-party cookies on mobile Safari. We're not ready to announce anything, but we are making some pretty good R&D investments here, and we'll probably have more to say throughout the year. But this is sort of a holistic area of investment for us that we realize is incredibly important, and we're investing a lot in. So in parallel, we've also been making some pretty big investments and doing a lot of thinking around what mobile looks like from a seller's standpoint. And here to talk about that is Andrew Eifler. Just throw that over there.
All right. To the toss. Thank you, Errol. So as up next is as we approach the sell side of the mobile market, we didn't want to rush into the sell side and just assume what the product should be. So Errol and I have actually spent a tremendous amount of time studying the sell side mobile market, looking at the different players in the market, the different interactions between the players, the different value propositions, to really see how we can build a product for the mobile sell side market. And really what we found in our studies is an inefficient sell side marketplace. And one of the reasons for the inefficiencies in the sell-side mobile marketplace is because of the practice of network mediation, which is a necessity today. But we think we can do some things to help push the market beyond network mediation and ultimately end up in a more efficient sell-side marketplace. So to start, let's take a look at what is network mediation. Essentially, the practice of mediation is taking a seller's inventory and cutting it up into different pieces and handing it out to multiple networks to monetize. The whole thing works a bit like a pie, where the whole pie is the seller's inventory, and the practice of mediation is cutting up that pie and handing out different slices to different networks. So now that we've talked about what mediation is, why is mediation so popular today in the mobile sell-side market? Well, there's really 2 reasons. One reason is because a very large portion of demand in the mobile marketplace is actually locked up inside the top 5 mobile networks. And with some of those networks, the only way to access that demand is through mediation. The second reason why mediation is important or popular today is because the sell-side marketplace is really in the middle of an evolution. And by nature, evolution works sequentially. So mediation is actually much better than what a lot of people used to do, which was just dumping all inventory to one network. With mediation, you can actually gain access to a larger number of networks and more advertisers and more demand. So that's why mediation is very popular today. So we've talked about what mediation is and why it's popular today. But now we're going to talk about a couple limitations of mediation. So where does mediation really fall short? And we think mediation falls short in 3 areas. First, because of siloed demand. Second, because it's difficult to project revenue. and third, because of manual optimization. So we're going to dive in and take a look at each of these things individually. The first reason why mediation is inefficient is because of siloed demand. So I've been talking to a lot of people this week, and one of the things I've heard is mediation is good because it allows networks to compete for seller inventory. And in theory, this is true because a large amount of networks are buying from the seller. But on a granular level, for each impression, it's actually not true because mediation cuts up the pie and hands out different slices. For each slice of inventory, it is actually only exposed to one network's worth of demand. So in real time, all demand sources are not competing for every impression. The second reason why mediation is inefficient is because it's actually quite difficult to project revenue. Most mediation works on a rev share basis, so you estimate how much each of your demand sources is going to give you, and you sort of arrange those networks in a waterfall based on who's going to pay you the most. But there's always some uncertainty over how much money you're going to get, and it's very hard to predict ultimately what your revenue will be. The third reason mediation is inefficient is because of manual optimization. So there actually are some really cool things you can do with optimization in a mediated environment. For instance, if you find that for your Android users, the blue network here monetizes above all the other networks, you can arrange them at the top. However, for your iOS users, you find that the orange network monetizes above the blue network. You can change them around. There you go. But there's some automation, but a lot of this is really a manual process. So we've talked about what mediation is and why mediation is limited. And we talked about where we've come from with dumping all seller inventory to one network, where we are today. So what's the future? What's the next step in the evolution? We think the next step in the mobile sell-side evolution is a more exchange-based environment with multiple networks on the same platform and can trade with each other seamlessly without the need for mediation. So wrapping it up, concluding Errol and I's study of the mobile sell-side market, what we've really come to the conclusion is we need a multi-pronged approach to the sell-side market. We need to provide mediation because it's a necessity today. To access some of the very large demand sources, you need a mediated connection. And it's really the only way to get the backfill you need to fill 100% of inventory. But we also want to provide a more exchange-based approach to the seller side of the industry that allows efficient connection between networks, automated creative level optimization, and even CPC, CPA-based buying. So buying on a CPC or CPA basis. And providing both those in tandem, we think, is a good approach to the sell-side market and will help push the sell-side market to the next step of the evolution. So in conclusion, Errol talked about some of the progress we've made on the buy side. I've talked a little bit about where we're going on the sell side. And all in all, you're going to be hearing a lot more about mobile from us in the near future. Thank you.